Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, July 26th special council meeting for the city of Brook Park. Michelle, please call the roll.
Scott?
Here.
Bergio?
Here.
Orcutt?
Here.
Stem?
Here.
Mancini?
Here.
Poindexter? Salvatore?
Here.
If everyone would, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Notices for the meeting were sent out to council members Stem, Mancini, Orcutt, Scott, Bergio, Poindexter, Salvatore, Council President Vecchio, Mayor Gamella, Law Director Horvath, Finance Director Single. Councilman Poindexter is on vacation. At this time, anybody who would like to come up and have remarks on any of the subject matter listed may do so. Seeing no one, we'll move forward to second reading of ordinances and resolutions. Item number 1, resolution number 23-2018, declaring the amount of taxes that may be raised by a levy within the 10 mil limitation and without a vote of the electors in the city of Brook Park to be insufficient and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella and council as a whole.
Chairman.
Council.
This is council, sir. The first one's council. Mr. Salvatore?
I'd like to ask a question to the finance director, if I may.
Go ahead, Mr. Salvatore.
Greg, at the last meeting, there were certain terms and conditions that had to be met prior to passage, and I was just wondering where we stand with that.
Through the chair to Councilman Salvatore, my understanding is everything is, has been filed that needs to be filed, and this ordinance, or this, I'm sorry, this resolution can be approved this evening.
And if I may continue through the chair to the law director, do you concur with that?
Through the chair to Councilman Salvatore, yes, I do. I believe we're proceeding properly. My understanding is the city has received the tax certificate from the fiscal officer, and at this point, we're free to go ahead and pass the second
So there's
piece.
no reason to delay. We can move forward and pass all the rest of these companion pieces.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Salvatore. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, for the public's interest, can we have this resolution read in its entirety, please?
I'll make that motion support, if I could get some support. Support.
Motion to have resolution number 23-2018 read in its entirety, properly supported. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Salvatore?
I think it should be read during adoption. We should suspend first and then get it into an adoption and then have it read.
I would agree with that. We'll read it during adoption then.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on suspension.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Motion to suspend has been approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion on adoption.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to follow the mayor's request and have this read in its entirety.
All right, I'll make that motion if I could get some support on that.
I don't think it needs a motion. I think it just needs to be acknowledged.
All right. Let's go.
Either way, it's acknowledged to do so. Michelle, would you please read it?
Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Brook Park, Ohio, Section 1, that the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation by levies on the current tax duplicate will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount for the necessary requirements of the City of Brook Park. Section 2, that it is necessary to levy a tax in excess of said 10 mil limitation of 3/10 of a mil for each dollar of valuation, which amounts to 3 cents for each $100 of valuation upon the taxable property of said city for the tax collection years 2020 to 2024. both inclusive, to supplement the general fund for the purpose of making appropriations for hospitalization in and support of Southwest General Health Center, a general hospital. Section 3, that the question of such renewal tax levy shall be submitted to the electors of said city at the general election to be held on Tuesday, November 6, 2018. A majority affirmative vote is required for passage. Section 4, that the clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to certify this resolution to the Board of Elections of Cuyahoga County, Ohio, on or before August 8, 2018, in order that said board may arrange for the submission of such levy to the electors of said city on the aforesaid date to wit, November 6, 2018, upon notice thereof duly published in a newspaper of general circulation in said city, and upon ballot substantially in the following form. A renewal tax for the benefit of the city of Brook Park to supplement its general fund for the purpose of making appropriations for hospitalization in and support of Southwest General Health Center at a rate not exceeding 3/10 of a mil for each dollar of evaluation, which amounts to 3 cents for each $100 of valuation for the 5-year levy period from calendar years 2019 to 2023, to be collected in years 2020 to 2024. The voters will check yes for the tax levy, or they will check yes against the tax levy. Section 5, that it is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal actions were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements. Section 6, that this resolution is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, property, health, safety, and welfare, and for further reason that a certified copy must be submitted to the Cuyahoga County, Ohio Board of Elections on or before August 8, 2018. Therefore, provided this resolution receives the affirmative vote of at least 5 members elected to council, it shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage and approval by the mayor, otherwise from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Thank you, Michelle.
Welcome.
There's a motion on the floor, properly supported, to adopt resolution number 23-2018. Discussion? Seeing none. Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Bergia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Resolution number 23-2018 has been adopted. Moving on to item number 2, resolution number 24-2018, in support of the passage of the Health Center renewal levy and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella and council as a whole.
Motion to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion? Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Bergia?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Suspension is approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion? Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, just in the interest of the public, to let them know this is a renewal of the levy, that I'd like this read in its entirety, please.
Michelle, would you please read this one?
Whereas Southwest General Health Center serves this community with its hospital facilities, and whereas a question of a renewal tax levy will be submitted to the electors of the city on November 6, 2018, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Brook Park, County of Cuyahoga, and State of Ohio, Section 1, that this council hereby supports and urges all residents to vote in favor of the Southwest General Health Center 3/10 of a mil renewal levy. Section 2, that the clerk be and is hereby directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to Southwest General Health Center, attention William A. Young, President and Chief Executive Officer. Section 3, that this is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements. Section 4, that this resolution is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, property, health, safety, and welfare, and for the further reason to support the passage of the Southwest General Health Center renewal levy, therefore, provided this resolution receives the affirmative vote of at least 5 members elected to council, it shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage and approval by the mayor, otherwise from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Motion on the floor to adopt, properly supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Mancini,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Resolution number 24-2018 has been adopted. Moving on to item 3, ordinance number 11,033-2018, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Southwest General Health Center for the levy of a tax and the payment of the proceeds thereof for the maintenance and support and as compensation for the use of said health center and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella.
Motion to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Bergio,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Suspension is approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Michelle, would you please read this into record? Or actually, Michelle, go ahead and finish what you're doing. I'll do it. I'll have this one. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Southwest General Health Center for the levy of a tax and the payment of the proceeds thereof for the maintenance and support and as compensation for the use of said health center and declaring an emergency. Whereas Southwest General Health Center, with its principal office in the city of Middleburg Heights, Ohio, has tendered to the city of Brook Park a contract covering the use, maintenance, and support of said health center by the inhabitants of the city during a 5-year period, and whereas the tendered contract provides principally and in substance, A, that the city agrees to submit to its electors for approval or disapproval at the general election to be held on November 5th, 2018. There's a typographical error. Yeah. The question,
November 6, 2018.
the question of levying a tax of 3/10 of a mill in excess of the 10 mil limitation upon its taxable property for the 5-year tax levy period comprising the years 2014 to 2018?
No, 2020 to 2024.
I'm sorry, so that should be period comprising the years of 2020 to 2024.
Mr.
both
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Upon completion of reading it, I think the necessary amendments should be made.
Thank you.
I'll make that amendment.
At the end,
Okay.
upon completion. Both inclusive to be collected in the years, which we're going to have to make an amendment here also, gentlemen. So that should be 2020 to 2024, which amount represents a renewal of 3/10 of a mill now being levied for such purpose for the maintenance and support and as compensation for the use of the health center, and subject to the approval thereof at such election, to cause such levy to be made and the proceeds thereof to be appropriated and paid to the health center for the purposes aforesaid, and B, that the health center agrees that during the calendar years 2015 to 2019, both inclusive, the buildings, facilities, and equipment in use by it for health center or health care service shall be at the service of and to the extent of their capacity and subject to like use by other political subdivisions having similar contracts, provide treatment to the sick and disabled inhabitants of the city, except those who, in the opinion of a majority of the health center trustees, may be able to pay therefor, and that the city shall be entitled to select at least one member of the Board of Trustee of the health center to serve during said term of years, and that the remaining members of the board shall be selected according to the provisions of its constitution and/or bylaws, either now in effect or hereinafter lawfully enacted. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Brook Park, state of Ohio, that Section 1, that the mayor be and is hereby authorized and directed to enter into a contract with Southwest General Health Center as set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, and to do all things necessary in furtherance thereof. Section 2, that it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of this ordinance were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements. Section 3, it is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of this ordinance adoption of this ordinance were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 4, this ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure immediately necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and welfare of said city, and for the further reason that the continued availability of adequate health center facilities for the inhabitants of the city cannot otherwise be assured. Therefore, provided this ordinance receives the affirmative vote of at least 5 members elected to council, it shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage and approval by the mayor, otherwise from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Mancini?
I'd like to make 2 amendments, if I may. Okay, be the second whereas, line 7. The first one will be 2004 to 2018. The amendment would be 2020 to 2024. And was, no?
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Mr. Salvatore, your point.
I don't think that we should make any amendments until we agree on the exact dates, because the contract also has conflicting dates, and we have to coordinate this. It's got to be perfect. It cannot be altered in any way that's going to hinder this agreement.
Exactly. Let's
So
go
let's
to
take a little few minutes here, relax, and just get it done right.
Madam Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Both of these pieces, both the contract and the legislation, was sent over by Southwest General's Counsel as a Word document. So it does appear that there are some conflicts, and perhaps now might be a good time to take a short recess and review this and then come back on the record.
Mr. Chairman, well, then that applies to, I mean, you go down to about line 14, 2015, 2019, we don't know that either. Is that what we're all saying here?
In essence, I believe that's what's being said, Mr. Mancini. And
It also has conflicting years in the contract itself, too.
Right.
So the contract is an easy fix because it's not signed yet.
Correct.
So that can be done, at a later date, but the legislation has to be correct.
correct.
That's correct, and Mr. Single has looked over this. He and I have kind of chatted here, almost like a sidebar, and I think with his assistance, this is probably the correct amendment.
All right, so the law director suggested we take a recess and go over this with everybody. I think we should do that, gentlemen. Take a 5-minute recess. We can sit down, look at this, and get everything correctly lined up and come back to it.
A motion to take a 5-minute recess?
Support.
Motion to take a 5-minute recess, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Sure. Salvatore?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mancini?
This is approved. We'll take a recess till 6:26. All right, gentlemen, I'll take a motion to go back to the regular order of business.
Motion so made.
Support.
Motion to go back to the regular order of business, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Mancini.
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Motion is approved. Gentlemen, at this time, with some amendments that are necessary on this, I would suggest that we take the time to make those amendments, and we can retract our motion to suspend in the second, and we'll give this its second reading and make the amendments as necessary.
And then bring it forward Friday the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll need motions retracted.
I'll retract my second.
Bergio and Salvatore.
I'll retract my,
Carl?
I've checked mine too.
All right, so motion to suspend has been retracted.
motion to adopt. We already suspended it.
Motion to adopt, we need to
Motion to adopt is what we're rescinding.
I'm sorry, you're correct.
But
The adoption, yeah, we're on adoption.
Motion to place on second reading.
Don't we have to retract this motion?
Yes.
But yeah, but you gotta
We
call
already,
the
we
roll.
retracted the suspension, we didn't even
Roll
get
on
adoption.
retraction.
Okay,
So-
so.
You don't even have to call the roll, you retracted a motion.
Right,
Okay.
But if you feel more comfortable, call the roll, but you don't really
Right.
have to.
Did you make the motion?
What are you doing, second reading?
yes.
Okay.
I'll support that.
Motion to place on second reading on the August 3rd special council meeting, properly supported. Discussion? Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ordinance number 11,033-2018 has had its second reading and will be placed on the August 3rd special council meeting. Moving on to item number 4, ordinance number 11,034-2018, authorizing the consulting engineer to prepare plans and bid documents and the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the 2018 crack and joint ceiling project and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella.
Motion to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion? Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Bergio.
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Mancini.
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Yes.
Got him.
Oh, suspension is approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion on adoption.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Salvatore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to ask the mayor if you would entertain any co-sponsorship for the joint ceiling project.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rick. Everyone, yes.
Council? Council as a whole? No?
Did you raise your hand? Okay. Now we're good.
That also just, if I could, at this time, just, I really do embrace this project. I think it's important that we do this joint ceiling project. But I would still like to see the possibility of maybe looking at doing a road or two in the roads program. This is a separate project in the roads program, but if the mayor would make himself available, I'd be more than glad to have come to your office and talk to you about any future possibilities of maybe throwing a road or two in there this year if we can get it done.
Rick, that'd be fine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Stem?
Thank you, Council President. I also agree with Councilman Salvador with adding a road or two. You know, we allocated a lot of money during capital. I think we could do it. So I'd like to meet with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mancini?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through the chair to the mayor, real quick. Have you been able to talk to our city engineer about any streets as of yet? I probably presume not. I mean, it's only been 48 hours. What streets we might do on this crack ceiling, have we discussed?
Absolutely. He's currently out of the country.
Okay. Thank you. I hope, just let us know when. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr.
Mayor and
Orcutt?
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I too think that this is going to be obviously very helpful. It's something that we can do to help, we're creating preventive maintenance for the roads, and I think it's very good. Mayor, you and I have talked a lot about the roads this year, and if you guys are meeting, I would like to be a part of that, to talk about doing a road or two. So that's all I had, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else? Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergia,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Mancini.
Yes.
Ordinance number 11,034-2018 has been adopted. Moving on to item number 5, ordinance number 11,035-2018, authorizing the mayor to hire inspectors for the 2018 crack and joint sealing project and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion?
Okay.
Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on suspension.
Mancini,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergia,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Suspension is approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Those are posted, okay. So make sure.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion on adoption.
Who made the motions?
Mancini and Bergio.
Oh, it's that one.
Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Mancini,
Yes.
Bergia,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Ordinance number 11,035-2018 has been adopted. That concludes everything we have on tonight's agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion to adjourn, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Bergia,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Special council meeting is now adjourned. We'll go right into the special caucus meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, July 26th special caucus meeting for the city of Brook Park. Notices were sent to council members Stem, Mancini, Orcutt, Scott, Bergio, Poindexter, Salvatore, Council President Vecchio, Mayor Gamella, Law Director Horvath, Finance Director Single. Councilman Poindexter is on vacation. Michelle, please call the roll.
Scott,
Here.
Bergia,
Here.
Orcutt,
Here.
Stem,
Here.
Mancini,
Here.
Poindexter, Salvatore.
Here.
Everyone, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag liberty and justice for all. All right, moving on to discussion, we have one item, an ordinance enacting Chapter 1358 of the Brook Park Codified Ordinances entitled Small Cell Wireless Facilities and Wireless Support Structures and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella. Open for discussion, gentlemen. Mr. Mancini?
Unless the mayor would like to explain a little bit, could we have this read in its entirety?
During the council meeting, sir.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, this will be a long one. We'll read it, if you guys
I'll make a
Move
motion
forward.
and move it to our council meeting after our caucus meeting tonight.
motion on the floor to place on special council meeting immediately following.
Do you allow any dialogue? No questions?
Put their hand up.
Can I ask a question?
All right, so there's a motion, the motion fails for a lack of a second. We'll go back to discussion. Mr. Orcutt?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is something that just was put in front of us this evening. I did read something on this House bill a few weeks ago, and I was wondering if we could refer to the mayor for some insight on this.
Mayor?
Thank you. Well, it has to be passed by the 31st, and we received it late, but we've got it here before you this evening. A lot of it has to do with the new technologies that's going to be coming on cars, the autonomous vehicles and that. They're going to be coming to us to put things on, different poles, different places. So this would cover a lot of that and a lot of the other new technologies coming out.
So what this will do is just restrict where people can actually put an antenna, basically what would look like an antenna?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Mr. Orcutt. So Mayor, that, in essence, then, it gives the city authority to say yes or no.
Correct.
Perfect. Mr. Salvatore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the Chair, to the Mayor. Mayor, what's the downside if this thing doesn't pass in a timely fashion?
Well, it's a very good question. I guess it means that we're not going along with it. It could have ramifications. I think it should be passed in a timely fashion. Again, you know, the new technology, self-driven cars, autonomous cars, that's the way of the future, and I certainly want to see us left behind on that.
I'm not suggesting that we don't pass it. I was just curious as to if it doesn't pass, what happens without a passage of it. So I think you answered that, though. It's important to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Mr. Scott?
Yeah, through the chair to Law Director. Is this something I approached you about last year? Remember, I think Bria had an issue with this, and they were doing some kind of, not a class action, but they were all trying to get cities to support. Do you remember me talking to you about something about this last year? Is this the same thing?
Through the chair to Councilman Scott. We may have discussed it last year. I'm not sure exactly what issues Berea may have had. I know there are some municipalities who were getting requests from various companies that they wanted to place antenna and other devices in places where cities weren't happy that they were going to be allowed to do so. The main reason for passing this now is so that we get our regulations, our ordinance in before the time where the new House bill takes effect. And then this way, this will give us more control. You know, we'll be able under home rule to have this in effect and be able to have more of a say as to where these devices may go versus if we waited until after the House bill goes into effect, we may not have the same ability to regulate to the degree that we can regulate now. So I know, I want to say Strongsville and perhaps Berea did have requests from some different companies for placement in some of their right-of-way, on some poles or in some different areas where they felt caused problems and certainly didn't look very good. You don't want a city that has wires and all sorts of devices hanging everywhere. Basically, though, recently, a lot of these companies have not been making these requests. I would suspect they're kind of laying back and waiting until this date passes. And once this date does pass, anyone who didn't adopt a regulation like this, any city, they're probably going to renew their requests to take up some of the space and put things in places where perhaps a municipality wouldn't want something to be, or have it designed so it just simply looks crowded and ugly and bad, and doesn't help the city as far as presenting something that's a uniform and good look. So I know that many cities have already passed this. I know Lakewood has, many other communities. I think Fairview, if they haven't already, will be. I know I spoke with North Ridgeville's law director at the beginning of the month, and they indicated they also were passing it. So I think it's certainly a good thing for us to do as a municipality. There are design guidelines also that are going to have to be developed, but we don't need to pass the design guidelines by July 31st. We just need to get the chapter created and in place, and then that'll give us some time to develop the design guidelines.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stem?
Thank you, Council President. Through the chair to the Law Director, the mayor mentioned ramifications. Could it be possible that if it's not passed or supported by the city, that unlicensed devices or unregulated devices could be used and we would have no authority?
Well, I think the problem is our authority would diminish because the House bill would go into effect, and then we wouldn't have the ability to develop our own design guidelines and regulate in a manner that we felt would be appropriate.
Thank you. I just wanted that cleared up.
Mr. Bergio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This appears to be, well, it's in addition to cell phone towers, so it looks like it'd be on utility poles and a whole traffic signals and so forth. But from what I read, it appears to be that they have to get permission from the building commissioner. Is that right, Carol?
Through the chair to Councilman Bergio, yes, that's right. That's the idea that, we want to regulate this. We just don't want people putting things wherever they want without our permission.
But I like that feature anyway, so we have some say-so on if it's going to affect our community negatively. We're not forced to do something that a company wants to do. We have some regulations in store, and it has to get past our building commission. So that was all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bergio. Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the law director. Under some of the requirements, I just a couple of quick questions. Or the requirement of $5 million for comprehensive general liability, is that standard, or is that something that we're setting, or is that boilerplate?
Through the chair to Councilman Salvatore, I wouldn't say it's standard, but I've seen that figure in a number of municipalities' legislation, and I think that's certainly a good number as far as requirement for some of these companies.
And if I could continue, under the application fee of $250, and it has upward mobility to increase by 10% within 5 years or every 5 years, is that $250 application fee that standard, or is that something that we set?
Again, that's a figure that I've seen in a number of municipalities use. However, obviously, if the city felt that it should increase or decrease, you could do so by amending the legislation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Substitute House Bill 478. What it does is, if you read on 1358.07 required application materials, they got a lot of things to do before they could just come out and put anything on. Now, let's be honest, most of our cable providers, a lot of our, I would say video services, wireless services, they've already have most of their in place. And if you go to 1358.07, you'll see that they have to go through a very lot, as what Councilman Bergio has said. An application shall be written, confirmation of permission to use wireless support structure upon small cell facilities and small cell equipment. And there's 3 types of applications, one's 60 days, one's 90, and one's 120. I think that's ample time. So I read a little bit about it, and I think, Madam Law Director, you're absolutely right. Some cities have already given way on this. So I guess the date is on what, the 31st. This has to be more or less taken care of. So, I mean, pretty self-explanatory in there. They got a lot of things in there, so. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Anyone else? Mr. Orcutt?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the law director, well, I heard the 31st. Is that of July? This month or next month?
Through the chair to Councilman Orcutt, that is July.
And we don't have another meeting scheduled, do we?
I'm sorry?
We don't have another meeting scheduled for anything, do we? To get all this done, or?
No.
No, through the chair to Councilman Orcutt, no, we don't. We just have a very short time period to get this accomplished.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify if it was this month or next month. That's all I had. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Salvatore.
is there another meeting called for this purpose?
There was a special council meeting called directly after for this purpose, if in preparation, if council were to move it forward.
Can I make a motion to place that on the next following meeting after this meeting? the regular
support
council
that.
meeting?
Motion to place on tonight's special council meeting immediately following this caucus meeting, properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Perugio.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Motion is approved. This will be assigned ordinance number 11,036-2018 and will be on the special council meeting immediately following.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Salvatore. Yes. Scott,
Yes.
Perugio.
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Special caucus meeting for the city of Brook Park is now adjourned. Go right into the following special council meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special council meeting for the 26th day of July for the city of Brook Park. Notices were sent to council members Stem, Mancini, Orcutt, Scott, Bergio, Poindexter, Salvatore, Council President Vecchio, Mayor Gamella, Law Director Horvath, Finance Director Single. Michelle, please call the roll.
Scott,
Here.
Perugio.
Here.
Stem,
Here.
Orcutt,
Here.
Mancini,
Here.
Poindexter, Salvatore.
Councilman Poindexter is on vacation. If everyone would, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, remarks from the audience on the subject matter on this agenda only. Whoever would like to come up may do so. Seeing no one, we'll move forward.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Orcutt?
was there a special notice for this meeting?
Yes. Yes, the special notice for this meeting,
What about it?
for the special council, for this council meeting. He doesn't have it in his hand.
Either.
Michelle, bring him over.
Got one?
Sorry?
They don't have one.
Then I have copies of it.
You got one?
Michelle's gonna grab copies of it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Orcutt.
It's like 18 pages. No, not kidding.
All right, so the item on tonight's special council meeting is ordinance number 11,036-2018, ordinance enacting chapter 1358 of the Brook Park Codified Ordinances entitled Small Cell Wireless Facilities and Wireless Support Structures and declaring an emergency.
We read this thing, you guys want to split it up? You take a page, he takes a page.
If we get to the adoption point, Mr. Mancini.
It's 18 pages.
I'm sorry?
It's 18.
Yeah. Lot to read.
Everybody gets 2 pages.
Right.
Go nowhere.
We can't do it. Come on, Lou. I give you the part with all the numbers. Take a break, or
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute recess for Michelle to make more copies.
motion to take a 5-minute recess?
Motion to take a 5-minute recess, properly supported. Yeah, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll be back at 5 minutes till. All right, gentlemen, motion to go back to the regular order of business.
Motion to go back to the regular order of business?
Motion to go back to the regular order of business properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Motion is approved. We're back to the regular order of business. Everyone has copies, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Council, what's your pleasure?
Motion to suspend?
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Suspension is approved.
Move to adopt?
Support?
Motion to adopt, properly supported.
That's gonna be red.
This time, read this into the record. I'll start it off. Ordinance number 11,036-2018, introduced by Mayor Gamella, an ordinance enacting Chapter 1358 of the Brook Park Codified Ordinances entitled Small Cell Wireless Facilities and Wireless Support Structures and declaring an emergency. Whereas the City of Brook Park must regulate small cell wireless facilities and wireless support structures located in the right-of-way. Whereas Substitute House Bill 478, parentheses sub HB 478, will go into effect on July 31st, 2018. And whereas sub HB 478 amends Ohio Revised Code Chapter 4939 to provide, among other things, that municipalities must permit wireless service providers, cable providers, video service providers, and their designated agents to attach small cell wireless facilities to municipally owned support structures located in the right-of-way, including on utility poles, traffic signals, and streetlights, and to construct, maintain, modify, operate, or replace a wireless support structure in the right-of-way. And whereas this council desires to regulate small cell facilities, new wireless support structures, and the persons and entities who desire to construct, operate, and maintain such facilities in the city. And whereas this council believes that enacting new Chapter 1358 of our codified ordinances, use of public ways for small cell wireless facilities and wireless support structures promotes the public health, safety, and welfare of the city and its residents. And whereas, pursuant to the Constitution of the State of Ohio and the Ohio Revised Code, municipalities have the power of local self-government. And whereas, pursuant to the Constitution of the State of Ohio and the Ohio Revised Code, municipalities have the power to enact laws that are for the health, safety, welfare, comfort, and peace of the citizens of the municipality. And now, therefore, be it ordained by the Council of the City of Brook Park, State of Ohio, that Section 1, the Brook Park Codified Ordinances shall be supplemented by enacting a new Chapter 1358 entitled Small Cell Facilities and Wireless Support Structures, is hereby enacted to read as follows. Chapter 1358, Use of Public Ways for Small Cell Facilities and Wireless Support Structures, 1358.01, Purpose and Definitions. A, the purpose of this chapter is to, 1, provide standards for the construction, installation, modification, operation, and removal of facilities and wireless support structures in the city's right-of-way to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the city. 2, preserve the character of the city, including the city's neighborhoods, downtown, and historic districts, and protect property values. 3, give guidance to wireless telecommunications providers to assist such companies in the timely, efficient, safe, and aesthetically pleasing installation of facilities and wireless support structures. And 4, to exercise the city's home rule authority and, to the extent legally permitted, not to conflict with or preempt applicable state and federal laws. B, for the purpose of this chapter and the interpretation and enforcement thereof, the following words and phrases shall have the following meanings, unless the context of the sentence in which they are used shall indicate otherwise. 1, applicant means any person or entity who submits an application pursuant to this chapter. 2, application means all necessary documentation submitted by an applicant to obtain a small cell use permit from the city to collocate a small cell facility and or to construct, maintain, modify, operate, or replace a wireless support structure. 3, accessory equipment means equipment used in conjunction with a small cell facility and generally at the same location of the small cell facility, including but not limited to electric meters, concealment elements, telecommunications, demarcation boxes, grounding equipment, power transfer switches, cutoff switches, and vertical cable runs. 4, city means City of Brook Park. 5, building commissioner shall mean the duty of appointed building commissioner of the city or his designee. 6, collocation or collocate means to install, mount, maintain, modify, operate, or replace wireless facilities on a wireless support structure. 7, design guidelines means standards applicable to small cell equipment and wireless support structures in the right-of-way established in Chapter 1368 of this code. 8, eligible facilities or eligible support structure request means any request for modification of an existing support structure or base station that does not substantially change the physical dimension of such support structure involving collocation of new facilities, removal of facilities, or replacement of facilities. A substantial change means A, a modification that changes the physical dimension of a wireless support structure by increasing the height of the wireless support structure by more than 10% or more than 10 feet, whichever is greater, and or by adding an appurtenance to the body of the wireless support structure that would protrude from the edge of the wireless support structure by more than 6 feet. B, the installation of more than the standard number of equipment cabinets for the technology involved, or the installation of more than 4 cabinets, whichever is less. C, the installation for any new ground-mounted equipment cabinets if there are no existing ground-mounted equipment cabinets. D, any excavation or deployment outside of the current site of the facility. E, removal of any concealment elements of the facilities or the wireless support structures. And F, any change that does not comply with this chapter. The design guidelines to be set forth in Chapter 1368 of this code or with state or federal law and regulations. The threshold for measuring increases that may constitute a substantial change are cumulative measured from the facilities as originally permitted, including any modifications that were reviewed and approved by the city prior to the enactment of the Federal Spectrum Act on February 22nd, 2012. 9, facilities means small cell facilities, accessory equipment, wireless support structures. 10, facilities operator means the person or entity responsible for the installation, operation, maintenance, replacement, or modification of facilities. Facilities operator includes A, operators, B, applicants who applied for consent to collocate a small cell facility or to construct, maintain, modify, operate, or replace a new wireless support structure pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 4939.031E, and who have obtained a small cell use permit. And C, applicants who applied for consent to collocate a small cell facility or to construct, maintain, modify, operate, or replace a new wireless support structure pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 4939.033, and who have obtained a small cell use permit. 11, operator means a wireless service provider, cable operator, or a video service provider that operates a small cell facility and provides wireless service, including a wireless service provider, cable operator, or a video service provider that provides information services as defined in the Federal Telecommunications Act of 1996, 110 Stat. 59, 47 U.S.C. 153, parentheses 20, and services that are fixed in nature or use unlicensed spectrum. 12, public way or right-of-way means a surface of and a space within, through, on, across, above, or below any public street, public road, public highway, public freeway, public lane, public path, public alley, public court, public sidewalk, public boulevard, public parkway, public drive, public easement, and any other land dedicated or otherwise designated for a comparable public use, which is owned or controlled by the city or other public entity or political subdivision. 13, small cell equipment means a small cell facility and all accessory equipment. 14, small cell facility means a wireless facility that meets both of the following requirements. A, each antenna is located inside an enclosure of not more than 6 cubic feet in volume, or in the case of an antenna with exposed elements, the antenna and all of its exposed elements can fit within an enclosure of not more than 6 cubic feet in volume. And B, all other wireless equipment associated with the facility is cumulatively not more than 28 cubic feet in volume. The calculation of equipment volume should not include electric meters, concealment elements, telecommunications, demarcation boxes, grounding equipment, power transfer switches, cutoff switches, and vertical cable runs for the connection of power and other services. 15, small cell use permit means a permit granted by the city authorizing the applicant to co-locate a small cell facility or to construct, maintain, modify, operate, or replace a wireless support structure in the right-of-way. 16, wireless support structure means a pole such as a monopole, either guide or self-supporting streetlight pole, traffic signal pole, a 15-foot or taller sign pole, or utility pole capable of supporting small cell facilities as used in this chapter. Wireless support structure excludes all of the following. A utility pole or other facility owned or operated by a municipal electric utility, and B, a utility pole or other facility used to supply traction power to public transit systems, including railways, trams, streetcars, and trolley buses.
1358.02, consent required. A, any person or entity seeking to co-locate a small cell facility in the right-of-way or to construct, maintain, modify, operate, or replace a wireless support structure in the right-of-way shall first file a written application for a small cell use permit with the building commissioner in accordance with the requirements of this chapter. The design guidelines to be set forth in Chapter 1358 of this code, Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 4939, and all applicable state and federal law and regulations. B, applicants are strongly encouraged to contact the building commissioner and request a pre-application conference. This meeting will provide an opportunity for early coordination regarding proposed facilities, locations, design, application submittal, and the approval process in order to avoid any potential delays in the processing of an application and deployment of facilities in the city. C, a small cell use permit granted under this chapter shall not convey any right, title, or interest in the right-of-way, but shall be deemed a permit only to use and occupy the public ways for the limited purposes and terms stated in the permit. This chapter and the design guidelines to be set forth in Chapter 1368 of this code. No small cell use permit shall be construed as any warranty of title. 1358.03, permit application types. Applicants shall classify their application as one of the following types. A, Type 1, eligible facilities request. B, Type 2, application for co-location of small cell equipment on a wireless support structure that does not constitute an eligible facilities request. C, Type 3, new wireless support structure, such application. Type 3, new wireless support structure. Such applications address construction, modification, replacement, or removal of a wireless support structure within the right-of-way. At the time of the equipment will be placed on a wireless support structure within 180 days from the date of the small cell use permit is issued. 1358.04, consolidated consent applications. A, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 4939.0312, an applicant may file one consolidated application for up to 30 individual small cell facilities or 30 individual wireless support structures, as long as the facilities or structures for which consent is requested are substantially similar. 1, small cell facility shall be considered substantially similar when the small cell equipment is identical in type, size, appearance, and function. 2, wireless support structures shall be considered substantially similar when the wireless support structures are identical in type, size, appearance, and function, and are to be located in a similar location. 3, applications for facilities and wireless support structures structured cannot be commingled. The city may, at its discretion, require separate applications for any small cell facilities or wireless support structures that are not substantially similar. 1358.05, application fee. The fee for each application is $250. The fee is adjusted upward by 10% every 5 years, rounded to the nearest $5 beginning in the year 2023. B, an application shall not be deemed complete until the fee is paid. C, if applications are consolidated, then the fee shall be the sum resulting from the fee set forth in subsection A, above multiplied by the total number of facilities or wireless support structures included in the consolidated application. 1358.06.1, attachment fee, A. In addition to the application fee, an annual fee shall be paid to the city for each small cell facility attached to a municipally owned wireless support structure is $200. The attachment fee is adjusted upward by 10% every 5 years, rounded to the nearest $5 beginning in the year 2023. B, the first year attachment fee shall be paid when the co-location is complete and no later than January 1 of each year thereafter. The first year attachment fee shall not be prorated regardless of the date that the co-location is complete. 1358.07, required application materials. The applicant must submit the following documentation with each application. A, completed application form including the identity of the applicant as well as all affiliates and agents of the applicant that will use or be in any way responsible for the facilities. B, the name, address, and telephone number of the local officer, agent, or employee responsible for the accuracy of the application to be notified in case of an emergency. C, fully dimensioned scaled site plan, parentheses, scale no smaller than 1 inch equals 40 feet, end of parentheses. The site plan must include 1, the exact proposed location of the facilities within the right-of-way. 2, all existing facilities with all existing transmission equipment. 3, the location of all overhead and underground public utilities, telecommunications, cable, water, sanitary sewer, and stormwater drainage utilities in the public way within 100 feet surrounding the proposed facilities. The legal property boundaries within 100 feet surrounding the proposed facilities. 5, indication of distance between the facilities and existing curbs, driveways, sidewalks, trees, utilities, other poles, and existing buildings within 100 feet surrounding the proposed facilities. And 6, access and utility easements within 100 feet surrounding the proposed facilities. D, elevation drawings, parentheses, scale no smaller than 1 inch equals 10 feet of the proposed facilities, and the parentheses, evidence that the applicant provide notice by mail to all property owners within 300 feet of the proposed facilities. The notice shall include 1, name of the applicant, 2, estimated date applicant intends to submit the application, 3, detailed description of the proposed facilities and the proposed location, and 4, accurate to scale photo simulation of the proposed facilities. Scale shall be no smaller than 1 inch equals 40 feet. F, a preliminary installation / construction schedule and completion date. G, structural calculations prepared, stamped, and signed by an engineer, licensed and registered by the state of Ohio, showing that the wireless support structure can accommodate the weight of the proposed small cell equipment. H, analysis demonstrating that the proposed facilities do not interfere with the city's public safety radio system, traffic and emergency signal, light system, or other city safety communications components. Shall be the responsibility of the applicant to evaluate prior to making the application for a small cell use permit the compatibility between the existing city infrastructure and applicant's proposed facilities. I, a landscape plan that demonstrates screening of proposed small cell equipment. J, drawings of the proposed facilities. For all equipment depicted, the applicant must also include, if applicable, 1, the manufacturer's name and model number, 2, physical dimensions, including without limitation height, width, depth, and weight, with mounts and other necessary hardware, and 3, the noise level generated, if any. K, if the applicant is not an operator, then the applicant must provide proof that the applicant has been engaged by a wireless service provider who will be the end user of the facilities. L, if the applicant intends to place small cell facilities and small cell equipment on a wireless support structure that is not owned by the city, then the applicant shall provide written confirmation of permission to use a wireless support structure upon which the small cell facilities and small cell equipment will be located.
135808, application review. A, application shall be evaluated in the timeframes as follows. 1, type 1 application 60 days. 2, type 2 application 90 days. 3, type 3 application 120 days. B, application shall be reviewed for completeness. The application incomplete, the applicant will be notified of the insufficiency of the timeframes set forth in subsequent. A, shall be told until the application is made complete. C, the time frame set out in the subsequent A may also be told as follows. 1, if the city receives between 15 and 30 applications in a 30-day period, the city may toll for an additional 21 days beginning with the 16th application. 2, if the city receives more than 30 applications in a 30-day period, then the city may toll for an application additional 15 days for every 15 applications received, up to a maximum tolling period of 90 days as indicated below. A, application 3145, 36 additional days. B, application 4660, 51 additional days. C, application 6175, 66 additional days. D, application 7690, 81 additional days. E, application 91 plus, 90 additional days. 3, by mutual agreement between the applicant and the city, where an applicant submits an underground area waiver pursuant to 1022.13B of this code, in which case the city may toll for an additional 14 days. D, if 2 applicants request to co-locate on the same wireless structure or 2 wireless support structures are proposed within a distance that would violate the spacing requirements set forth in section 1020.16, then the city manager may resolve the conflict in any reasonable and non-discriminatory manner. E, if a request for consent is denied, the city shall provide in writing its reasons for denying the request supported by substantial, competent evidence. The denial of consent shall not unreasonably discriminate against the applicant. Grounds for denying an application may be included, but not limited to: 1, failure to provide information required under section 1020.07. 2, failure to comply with the design guidelines set forth in chapter 1022 of this code. 3, failure to provide financial surety pursuant to section 1020.15. 4, failure to remove abandoned facilities as required under section 1020.12. 5, conflict with the historical nature or character of the surrounding area. 6, conflict with planned or future improvements in the right-of-way and or. 7, failure to comply with generally applicable health, safety, and welfare requirements. 1020.09, permitting process, duration and termination. Upon approval of the application, an applicant shall receive a small cell use permit indicating that the city has granted the applicant consent to occupy the right-of-way. B, a small cell use permit issued to an operator shall have a duration of 10 years. Permits may be renewed for 5-year terms. C, a small cell use permit issued to a facilities operator who is not an operator shall have a term or 10 years or the duration of the facility operator's agreement with the wireless service provided pursuant to section 1020.06J, whichever is shorter. D, a small cell use permit shall not be renewed if the facilities operator or facilities are not in compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. E, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code section 4939.0314E, a small cell use permit shall be deemed terminated if the facilities operator has not completed construction of the facilities or has failed to attach a small cell equipment to a wireless support structure within 180 days of issuance of a permit, unless the delay is caused by: 1, make-ready work for a municipality-owned wireless support structure; 2, the lack of commercial power or backhaul availability at this site, provided that the operator has made a request for the commercial power or backhaul services within 60 days after the small cell use permit was granted. If the additional time to complete the installation exceeds 360 days after the issuance of the permit, then the permit shall be deemed terminated regardless of the cause of the delay. F, a small cell use permit for wireless support structure shall be deemed terminated if the facilities operator fails to attach a small cell equipment to the new wireless support structure within 180 days of issuance of the small cell use permit. G, if the facilities operator fails to remit the annual attachment fee required pursuant to section 1358.10, the small cell use permit will expire on the 90th day from the date of the annual attachment fee was due. H, at any time upon services of 60-day services, written notice of the city, a small cell operator use permit may be terminated by the facilities operator. I, upon termination of small cell use permit, the facilities operator shall restore, rehabilitate, and city-owned wireless support structures and the right-of-way to the former condition and utility. I, the city shall not issue any refunds for any amount paid by the facilities operator upon termination of the permit. 135810, annual registration. Each facilities operator shall comply with the annual registration requirements set forth in 1358.02 of this code. 135811, non-conforming facilities. A, facilities in a right-of-way that are legally existent on the day of the adoption of this chapter, but that do not comply with the requirement of this chapter, may remain in the right-of-way, but shall be considered a non-conforming facility. B, any person or entity who owns or operates a non-conforming facility shall register such facility pursuant to Section 1358 of this code within 90 days of the date this chapter takes effect. C, if a non-conforming facility is damaged or destroyed beyond repair, any replacement facility must be designated according with all provisions of this chapter, the design guidelines to be established in 1368 of this code and with the state and federal law and regulations. 1020.12, abandoned and damaged facilities. A facilities operator may provide written notice to the city of its intent to discontinue any facilities. The notice shall include the date that will be discontinued. If facilities are not removed within 365 days from the date the use was discontinued, the facility shall be considered a nuisance, and the city remove the facilities at the expense of the facilities operator. B, in the event that facilities are damaged, the facilities operator shall promptly repair the damaged facilities. Damaged facilities shall not be repaired no later than 30 days after obtaining written notice that the facilities are damaged. If the damaged facilities are not repaired within 30 days, then the damaged facilities shall be considered a nuisance, and the city may repair or remove the facilities at the expense of the facilities operator. 1358, insurance requirements. 1358, insurance requirements. A, as a condition of the city's consent to occupy the right-of-way, facilities operator must secure and maintain following liability insurance policies, ensuring both the facilities operator and additional insureds that a city has selected and appoint officers, officials, employees, and agents. 1, comprehensive general liability insurance with limits of not less than I, $5 million for bodily injury or death to each person, II, $5 million for property damage resulting from one accident, and III, $5 million for all other types of liability. 2, automobile liability for owned, non-owned, hired vehicles with a limited $3 million for each person and $3 million for each accident. 3, workers' compensation with statutory limits and employer's liability with limits of not less than $1 million. 4, comprehensive foreign premises operations, explosions, collapse, hazards, underground hazards, products, completed hazard with limits of not less than $3 million. B, each insurance policy shall contain the following endorsement. It is hereby understood that the agreed that this policy may not be canceled for the intention not to renew be stated until 90 days after recipient of the city by registered mail of a written notice addressed to the city manager of such intent and to cancel renewal. And finally, C, within 60 days after recipient of the city, the notice provided subsequent to B above and in no event later, 30 days prior to the cancellation of the policy, the facilities operator shall obtain and furnish the city replacement insurance policy meeting the requirements for this section.
1358.14, indemnification. A facilities operator shall indemnify, protect, defend, and hold the city and its elected and appointed officials, officers, employees, agents, and volunteers harmless against any and all claims, lawsuits, judgments, costs, liens, losses, expenses, fees to include reasonable attorney fees and cost of defense proceedings, actions, demands, causes of action, liability, and suits of any kind in nature, including personal or bodily injury or death, property damage, or other harm for which recovery of damage is sought, to the extent that it is caused by the negligence of the operator who owns or operates small cell facilities and wireless service in the right-of-way, and by any agent, officer, director, representative, employee, affiliate, or subcontractor of the operator or the respective officers, agents, employees, directors, or representatives while installing, repairing, maintaining, or removing facilities in the right-of-way. 1358.15, financial surety. A, each facilities operator must procure and provide to the city a bond, escrow, deposit, letter of credit, or other financial surety to ensure compliance with this chapter in Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 4939. The financial surety must also be in the amount sufficient to cover the cost of removal as established by the city manager of all facilities owned or operated by the facilities operator. B, the city may, in its sole discretion, draw on the financial surety to remove abandoned facilities, remove or repair damaged facilities, or to repair damage to any city property caused by the facilities operator or its agent. In such event, the facilities operator shall cause the financial surety to be replenished to its prior amount within 10 business days after the city notifies the facilities operator that it is drawn on a financial surety. 1358.16, reserved space. The city reserves the right to install and permit others to install facilities in the right-of-way. The city may reserve space in the right-of-way and on wireless support structures for future utility, safety, or transportation uses. Such space may be reserved in an ordinance or plan approved by the city council, building commissioner, or planning commission. 1358.17, removal or relocation of facilities. A, the city may require a facilities operator to remove or relocate facilities to accomplish construction and maintenance activities. The facilities operator shall remove or relocate the facilities at no cost to the city. If the facilities operator fails to remove or relocate the facilities within 90 days of receiving a request to do so from the city, then the city may remove the facilities at facilities operator's sole cost and expense without further notice to the facilities operator. B, If the facilities are placed in a location other than the location approved by the city, the facilities operator shall relocate the facilities within 30 days of receiving notice that the facilities are located improperly. 1358-18, notice of work. A facilities operator shall notify the building commissioner of all non-emergency work within 10 calendar days prior to performing any upgrades or maintenance on any facilities, regardless of whether the work requires any permit or consent from the city. 1358-19, construction permit. A facilities operators are required to obtain a construction permit pursuant to Chapter 1358 of this code prior to commencing any of the following activities. 1, co-location of small cell equipment on a wireless support structure. 2, replacement, modification, repair, or maintenance of small cell equipment. 3, construction, replacement, modification, repair, or maintenance of a wireless support structure associated with a small cell facility. And 4, any excavation of the right-of-way in connection with the activity described in this subsection A. B, the construction permit fee shall be the fee set forth in Section 1358 of this code. 1358.20, excavation permit. A, if a facilities operator must construct, reconstruct, alter, repair, remove, or replace any culvert, sidewalk, or driveway in any public street or road right-of-way, then the facilities operator shall obtain a required permit pursuant to Section 1358 of this code. 1358.99, penalties, equitable remedies. A, any person or entity found guilty of violating, disobeying, omitting, neglecting, or refusing to comply with any of the provisions of this chapter shall be fined not less than $100 nor more than $500 for each offense. A separate and distinct offense shall be deemed committed each day during or on which a violation occurs or continues. B, nothing in this chapter shall be construed as limiting any judicial remedies that the city may have at law or in equity for enforcement of this chapter. Section 2. It is found and determined that all formal sections of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of this ordinance were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 122.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 3. This ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure immediately necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and welfare of said city, and for the further reason of enacting Section 1358 of the Brook Park Codified Ordinances. Therefore, provided this ordinance receives the affirmative vote of at least 5 members elected to council, it shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage and approval by the mayor, otherwise from and after the earliest period allowed by law. Madam Law Director.
Through the chair, first thank all our readers. But in hearing you read it, I see there's maybe 3 or 4 typos that need to be cleaned up. And I would suggest that most of them are numbers, changing 1020 to 1358, and then in section 1358.08D, changing city manager to building commissioner.
Could you repeat those one more time?
Certainly.
Oh, you got them right there. Perfect. I'll give them those to Michelle.
In section 1358D, we would change 1020.16 to 1358.16, and then we would change in that same paragraph city manager to building commissioner. The following provision, which should read 1358.09, reads 1020.09, so that would need to be changed. And then 2 pages later, abandoned and damaged facilities, that would be changed from 1020.12 to 1358.12.
I'll work with Kate on that. I'll work with Kate on that.
Thank you, Madam Law Director. Mr. Salvatore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think this book is going to make the bestsellers list anytime soon, but
Are you saying that our reading wasn't up to par, sir?
I think a couple of them did a good job, but I wouldn't say all 3 of you were good. I just want to, just one question through the chair to the law director. For the point of, just for clarification and for definition, where it refers to city manager, I'm assuming that would be the mayor, and then is that, is that correct? And should that be changed, or is city manager?
You could leave it mayor, and that would be fine. We had designated the building commissioner in another section, or the building commissioner's designee to perform some tasks. But certainly, city manager could be interchangeable with the mayor also, and that may be an excellent idea.
I would feel more comfortable if we could, and again, if the chair would entertain a motion anywhere that it refers to the city manager, I would like to see it amended to read the mayor, and they can make those necessary changes in the document as you go through and make the corrections and any spelling errors or anything like that.
So there's a motion on the floor by Mr. Salvatore to change anywhere within this city manager to mayor, and also to make any typographical corrections.
I support that.
Motion properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you. At this time, gentlemen, there's a motion to adopt that was properly supported, but I would like to see that adoption retracted and adoption with the amendment brought forth.
Okay, I believe I was the one that
I'm-
adopted.
Mr. Mancini, I can't hear you.
I was the one that called for the adoption, so I'll rescind that.
In a second,
Who
It
seconded?
was a second.
Mr. Scott.
Rescind my second.
All right, so the
I'll make the
motion's been
motion for
rescinded.
to adopt with the amendments so stated.
Support.
Motion to adopt with the amendments as stated, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Mancini,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Ordinance number 11,036-2018 with stated amendments has been adopted. This time, there's nothing else on our agenda, gentlemen.
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Motion to adjourn properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
This meeting is now adjourned.